Hi guys, this is O-Level Chemistry, paper 12, June 2016, question 21. In which reaction are two of the products salts? So aqueous lead to nitrate and aqueous copper to sulfate. So this will form lead sulfate and copper nitrate. So both of these are salt. Next, aqueous sodium hydroxide and solid ammonium sulfate. So this will form Na2SO4, which is a salt, and it will release ammonia, and it will form water. So out of these three, only sodium sulfate is a salt. Next, dilute hydrochloric acid and aqueous sodium carbonate. This will produce NaCl plus CO2 plus H2O. NaCl is a salt, CO2 is a gas, H2O is a liquid. So only one salt is formed. And the last one, dilute hydrochloric acid and magnesium. This will form magnesium chloride, which is a salt, and it will give off hydrogen gas, which is not a salt. So this option is incorrect as well. Therefore, the only option that produces two salts and is the correct option for this question is option A. Question 22. The diagram shows the structure of brass. So we've got zinc atoms and copper atoms making the structure of brass. It is a mixture of zinc and copper. Why is brass harder than pure copper? So the zinc atoms form strong covalent bonds with the copper atoms? No, it is a metal. Even the alloy brass is a metal. So the only bonding that will be present in this structure would be metallic bonding. The zinc atoms prevent layers of copper atoms from sliding over each other easily. Yes, because the size of the zinc atoms are larger than the size of the copper atoms. So the layers are not evenly placed over each other. The zinc atoms will prevent copper atoms from sliding over each other because the zinc atom would be larger than the copper atom. So this is correct. Next, the zinc atoms prevent the sea of electrons from moving freely in the solid. No, they have a different size. They themselves will have sea of delocalized electrons present because zinc is a metal. And last one, the zinc atoms have more electrons than the copper atoms. No, this isn't correct as well. So the correct option for this question is option B. Question 23. From their position in the periodic table, which statement is correct? Atoms of elements in group 7 react to form ions by losing one electron. So if they lose an electron, they would form a positive ion, whereas all group 7 elements gain an electron and form negative ions. Iodine can displace bromine from its salt. Iodine is less reactive than bromine and therefore will not be able to displace bromine from its salt. Potassium reacts more rapidly than lithium with water to form the hydroxide and hydrogen. Yes, potassium is a group 1 metal and reactivity of group 1 metals increases down the group. The melting point of cesium is greater than that of potassium. The melting point decreases down the group. Cesium is below potassium in group 1. So cesium will have a lesser melting point than potassium. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option C. Question 24. The table gives the melting points, densities, and electrical conductivities of 4 elements. Which element is copper? So copper is a metal and a transition element. It will have a very high melting point. So the only option with the highest melting point is 1083. Copper, being a transition metal, will also have a very high density. High densities are there as 13.6 and 8.96, and electrical conductivity has to be good since it is a metal. So the only option with all three properties completely described is option D, making D the correct option for this question. Question 25. An atom of an element has 8 electrons only. So this is the total number of electrons present. Which statement about this element is correct? It forms an ion with a 2 negative charge. So if we look at the periodic table, the element with 8 electrons only is oxygen, and oxygen forms an ion with a 2 negative charge. So this is correct. It has a full outer shell of electrons. No, 8 electrons are total that are present. 2 of them are present in the first shell and 6 of them in the second shell. So the outermost shell has 2 electrons remaining. So this is incorrect. It is a metal. No, oxygen is a non-metal. It is a group 8 of the periodic table. No, it is in group 6 of the periodic table. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option A. Question 26. The diagram shows a flow chart for the manufacture of fertilizer. Fractional distillation of air produces gas W, which is nitrogen, because that is obtained from fractional distillation of air, and cracking of hydrocarbon produces hydrogen gas. These two, when subjected to a pressure of Y and 450 degrees Celsius, so the pressure has to be 200 atmospheres in the Haber's process. This produces product Z. Product Z is ammonia, and ammonia with something else would form fertilizer. This could be ammonium chloride. This could be ammonium nitrate. This could be ammonium sulfate. This could be ammonium phosphate. This could also be urea. All of these are components of fertilizers and are made from ammonia. Okay. In which, in the flow chart, what are W, X, Y, and Z? So W is nitrogen. So the only available option with nitrogen is D, which means D would be the correct option for this question. But let's check the other symbols as well. X should be hydrogen, correct. Y should be a high pressure. So 200 atmospheres is a high pressure. And Z should be ammonia. So the correct option for this question is option D. Question 27. Which oxide can be reduced to the metal by roasting with powdered iron? So the oxide has to be reduced to the metal because iron would get oxidized and the metal would get reduced. So the metal that would react would be a more reactive metal because a less reactive metal will take its place. So calcium oxide. Calcium is more reactive than iron. So calcium will not get replaced by iron. Copper, okay, copper. Copper is less reactive than iron. Iron will take the place of copper. So the metal that needs to be replaced by iron must be less reactive than iron. Okay, I see. So calcium is more reactive than iron, so iron will not displace calcium. Copper is less reactive than iron, therefore iron will displace copper. Magnesium is more reactive than iron, so it will not get displaced by iron. Zinc is more reactive than iron, it will not get displaced by iron. So when copper to oxide is roasted with powdered iron, iron will become iron oxide and copper metal would be produced. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option B. Question 28. Which element, if attached to iron immersed in salt water, would prevent the iron from corroding? So this is sacrificial protection. So the metal that would be used would be more reactive than iron. So carbon, carbon is not a metal. Copper is less reactive than iron. Magnesium is more reactive than iron. Sulfur is not a metal. So non-metals are not used for sacrificial protection, and the metal used for sacrificial protection is the one that is more reactive than the metal being protected. So magnesium being more reactive than iron makes option C the correct option for this question. Question 29. The final reaction in the extraction of metal X is represented by the following equation. X2O3 plus 3CO gives 2X plus 3CO2. This is the process that takes place in the blast furnace when hematite is reduced. X is iron. Fe2O3 plus 3CO gives 2Fe and 3CO2. Okay. What is X? Aluminium? No. Copper? No. Iron? Yes. Sodium? No. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option C. Question 30. Hydrated sodium carbonate decomposes when heated in a Bunsen flame. Which equation shows this decomposition correctly? Okay, the first equation has the hydrated sodium carbonate forming sodium metal. That will never happen. We will have salts forming, not metals. Next, we have sodium carbonate and 10 water. So basically, we have removal of water. So anhydrous sodium carbonate is produced, and sodium carbonate itself is so stable to heating that it will not decompose in a Bunsen flame. Next, we have production of NaHCO3, NaOH, and removal of 9 moles of water. No, NaOH will never form. And in the last one, we have formation of Na2O, CO2, and H2O. Na2CO3 cannot decompose in the Bunsen flame. So, the correct option for this question is option B.